Welcome to Scale Without Chaos, the podcast on business growth, visionary leadership, and scalable systems. Each week, you'll hear real stories, the messy parts, and the proven strategies that help leaders grow without burning out their team or themselves. And yes, you'll definitely hear a few spicy takes along the way. And now, this week's episode. Hi, I'm Samantha Reel. I am the host and founder of Scale Without Chaos, and I am excited, as I always am, to have you back with me today. So today's episode is going to be a continuation of last week's episode. So last week's episode, I'll pop it right up here so you can see it, is all about the Scale Without Chaos framework of people, processes, and systems. And the premise behind that framework, the idea behind that framework is that every single business issue, it doesn't matter what it is, fits into one of those three buckets. That is not new information. We've known that for a long time. But what is new information is the fact that so do the solutions. And so when you start thinking through all of the solutions to your business issues in the context of people, processes, and systems, as opposed to maybe just one of those things, you get a much more holistic solution that is going to last longer term for your business. It's going to be a more purpose-built solution that is going to actually solve your issues as opposed to it being a Band-Aid fix. So that's the Scale Without Chaos framework revolving around people, processes, and systems. So what I did last week was I really helped you to identify, here's this framework and here's where all these things fit in. So now let's talk about the how you actually get from point A to point B and figure out how to fix those things. And it's another framework. I created another one. And this one I hope is going to be useful. I hope this one is the most useful one that we can come up with, because it is so important for businesses to actually, for leaders. It is so important for leaders to take this information and to synthesize it in something that is going to work for their business so that they can scale. That's the whole hope. That's the whole reason that we're here. We are removing roadblocks. We're removing friction so that you are able to scale and grow your business. So let's hop right into it. So this framework is called the SOLV Framework. See what we did there? SOLV, SOLV Framework. And SOLV stands for see it. So see the problem, identify the problem. Open it up. So really, really dig into it and understand what is actually happening. Then layer the fixes. And I bet you can guess the layers are people, processes, and systems. And then validate that it is working. So to go back and review and check against the goals and make sure that that is happening. So SOLV Framework, see it, open it up, layer the fixes, and validate. So let's jump into each one of those steps, and we'll talk through what that actually looks like in practice so that you can use it in your business and actually start solving some of these issues more long-term so that you can scale. Okay, all right. So let's jump into S, see it. Now, it is really easy to identify problems, and I'm sure that as a leader in your business, people are coming to you all the time with problems. They're saying this is happening over here, or this person isn't doing their job, or this process is broken, or this data doesn't work for us, or this reporting isn't happening. There's a lot of things that just kind of bubble up to the top of the surface as a symptom of a problem. So what I want you to do as part of this S process, or this S step from now on, is to take that initial symptom and really, really dig into what is actually happening. So we have a symptom, but what is the problem? And there may be a lot of micro problems related to a bigger problem, but what is it? What are we actually dealing with here? So I like to use the example of sales not having enough pipeline, because I think that is something that is pretty standard when it comes to any business, is that sales is saying, I don't have enough pipeline and we need more. And so it's how does that actually work? So let's say sales is saying, I don't have enough pipeline. So that's a symptom. So it could be a micro problem, but it's a symptom. All right, well, why do you not have enough pipeline? Let's dig into this individually and just keep following this thread all the way to the end and make sure that we get to the bottom of what's actually happening. So not enough pipeline. All right. Is everything reported clearly? Do you have everything in the system? So do we know for sure that we actually don't have enough pipeline? That's step one is, do we know for sure that we actually don't have enough pipeline? That's the first step in see it. Okay, so once we keep going. So we don't necessarily answer those questions. We just say, are we sure that we have enough pipeline? What are we looking at for marketing qualified leads? How much business are we set to close? What is our standard close rate and are we hitting that? Do we have some training issues here? Do we need to maybe take a look at making sure that people understand what they should be doing for follow-ups? Are the emails correct? Are the processes in place? Are the tools good? So there's a lot of questions that you can be asking here. And what I want you to do as part of the see it step is to just write it all down. Just write it all down. Identify what kind of things you're up against and then save it. Just in case you ever come back here, you'll have it all written down. You won't have to do this step again. So say, all right, here it is. We've got it. The next one is to open it up. So really, really dig on this one. And that's the hard part. This is going to take the longest out of all of the steps, is to really dig in and understand how come these problems are happening. So as I said before, one of the things in see it was, are we sure we actually don't have enough pipeline? So get into the reporting and figure out, okay, we need to hit this target in December. It takes this many days for us to close, and this is what we have in pipeline, and our average close rate is this. No, we don't have enough pipeline. So how much do we actually need? Well, we need to do this in pipeline in order to actually have that close rate. Those are the types of things that you need to be figuring out, or at least identifying. So in that open it up stage is to identify, here is where we need to be. So we go from identifying the problem to now getting into, this is actually where we are. We now have looked at all the symptoms, we have looked at the problems, and we have that set up so that we know the exact issue that's happening. Now, this step can be a little intimidating for some people, I will be honest. Open it up means that you're looking at everything. So you're looking at people, processes, and systems. You're looking at whether or not someone is doing their job appropriately, or whether or not they have the right training. Normally it's training. Don't always assume it's the person. Normally it's training. But whether or not the people have the right training, whether or not the tools are set up correctly and the processes are removing friction instead of adding it. And then you're looking at all of those things. Now, for someone who has actually been setting up those things, it can be intimidating. So please make sure that as part of this entire framework, I'm going to pause here and just make sure I double down on this, is part of this entire framework is that this is a safe space. What we are going for here is to solve the issue. We are not placing blame. There could be things later on down the line where you have enough evidence where potentially someone should no longer be part of your team, but this is not the time to do that. This is one data point, sometimes a few data points, but this is a data point that you are collecting. You are not making decisions based on people as part of this. So make sure that you are going to your team and saying, we are just trying to solve this problem because we want to be better together. Let's do it. Okay. So that's the vibe that I want as part of Open It Up. Now, we have gotten into see it. We know what's happening. We have those symptoms and now problems. We've opened them all up so we know details about how far we need to go to get to X and what is actually breaking, where the processes are breaking, tools, where there's training, all of those things. So now let's start fixing. Let's actually get to the point where we're fixing. So let's layer those fixes across people, processes, and systems. So SOLV, layer the fixes. So people, do we need any new training? Do we need to figure out what's going on there? Do we need to have weekly check-ins? Do we have enough meetings? Please don't add meetings for the sake of meetings. Some of these meetings could be emails, but let's just make sure that we have the appropriate check-in points that we need. Let's make sure that we have all of the amount of people that we have in place. We have the bandwidth to be able to handle some of these things. We have the expertise on the team to be able to manage these things. All of that is happening. Processes. Is the handoff correct? Do we know a handoff between anyone? So it could be from a computer to a human. from a human to human. It could be from a human to another human. Are all of those things, all of those processes set up appropriately? And are the tools, the systems, then supporting? So do we have all the workflows in place? Do we have the automations correct? Are we removing friction with technology instead of adding it? Start layering in the fixes and saying, well, we need to add this training. We need to add this person to the team. We need to modify how this person does their job. Then we need to also make sure that we're adding this workflow, we're removing this workflow. Those are all the tasks that come out of layer fixes that fit into the people, processes, and systems bucket. Do not forget to think through the solutions in terms of all three of those, because something that may be very obvious, like a system isn't working, or sorry, that a process isn't working, could have multiple components. The process isn't working could also have the training people component to it as well. So it could be across multiple buckets. So don't just assume it's the first one. Make sure that you're asking the question, is there anything else that needs to be added to this particular fix that will help us get a more holistic solution? All right. So see it, open it up, layer the fixes. The last one is validate. So after you're layering the fixes, the team goes. They start doing their work. Now we have to start to make sure that all of this work that we're putting in is actually working. Now there's 3 ways that I really love to do this. And the first one is very obvious. It's in the data. Are we seeing an uptick in the correct goals that we want to see for data? Are we seeing the time to close go down? Are we seeing that we're able to validate whether something is a deal a lot faster? So are we seeing MQL rates go up? Are we seeing close rates go up? All of whatever those goals are that we wanted to accomplish as part of this original there's a problem, make sure that that is happening through data. Now there's 2 more softer ways that we can figure out whether or not this is working. The first is funny and obvious, but if they stop saying it's a problem, if the team stops saying, hey, we're out of this, or we need more of this, and everyone's just kind of working and doing what they're supposed to be doing, if you ask them and say, is this still a problem? They're like, oh, no, I haven't seen that for a while. Congratulations, it worked. If people are not bringing it up as a problem, it is no longer a problem. Everyone will really default to the thing that is the most burning issue. So if that is no longer on their radar, congratulations, the fix that you have made is appropriate. Excellent. And that's good. It's a lasting fix, especially if you don't hear it. The last one, which I also think is, it's a softer one, but helpful, is when people start saying things back to you. Sometimes as part of the SOLV framework, communication is part of the fix. You need to make sure that you have a consistent message and that you're maintaining that across different parts of the business. And maybe it's a new thing, and so you need people to adopt it. When people start saying that thing back to you, you know that it is appropriate, that it has been an appropriate fix, and you know that it is working. And sometimes that takes time. And so if there is anything like that where you're like, oh, you know what, I am going to keep saying this until it comes back to me, you will sound like a broken record. In your head, you will sound like a broken record, but keep saying it until it comes back. All right. So that is this episode on the SOLV framework. So again, it goes along with the people, processes, and systems that all of your business problems fit into those 3 buckets. And solve, see it, open it up, layer the fixes, and validate is how you actually get from point A to point B to complete that exercise, to make sure that all of your problems, your business problems, have a solution and a plan against them so that you can come up with a long-term fix and a Band-Aid. Excellent. All right. So if there's anything else that I can offer some advice on or help with, you have any questions, please let me know. I would be more than happy to do a podcast episode about this. I also have a complete whiteboard full of topics. So let me know if there's anything I can help with. I'm more than happy to do that. Thank you again for listening and for spending a little bit of time with me during your day. I really appreciate it. Always open to feedback. Give me whatever you have. You know how to get in touch with me. Either DM me on LinkedIn or Instagram, or you can send me an email. Great. Have a wonderful day. And until next time, keep building. Thank you for tuning in to Scale Without Chaos. If today's episode sparked new ideas or gave you a fresh perspective, do me a favor. Hit that follow button, subscribe for new episodes, and share this with someone who's going through what we talked about today. This podcast is all about visionary leadership, sustainable business growth, and the systems that make scale possible. For more content, free resources, and behind-the-scenes insights, connect with me on LinkedIn, follow along on Instagram at Scale Without Chaos, and subscribe to the newsletter.